Hey there, welcome to Fireside Chat. I'm Jeremy Hughes. This is the first real episode of this that we're doing. If you look back on my channel, you'll see a video from, I think it was last November, of me rambling about how I don't know what this is going to be. And finally figured out something, I guess. But I'm just sitting here with the beer, cigar, and there we go. Got a fire there. Not the most vibrant. Hopefully you can hear some kind of crackle. Have some peaceful background noise. And of course got good old AC in the background. It's not gonna be perfect, but it's something. It's a start. If I'm sure you can also hear some hammer noises. Someone's renovating the house next door. And I apologize if my dogs start barking or who knows what kind of chaos. But anyway, we'll get to it. Got our first little topic here. The ICE shooting that happened earlier. I think last I saw there were 3 or 4 shooting victims, and all of them ended up being ICE detainees here in Dallas from somebody on a rooftop across the street. And apparently there were engravings, markings on the bullets, the shell casings in particular, saying anti-ICE. When I think of things I would write on a bullet if I was going to be doing something crazy, I don't know why someone would put anti-ICE on them. But deranged people shoot people, so there's no telling. But it's clearly, I won't say clearly, seems to be another event in a long line of attacks by radical leftists of whatever sort. And it's just happened this morning, so there's no telling what'll come out about it. But yeah, I'm worried about where we're heading. Just the past month, there's been 4, 5 of these events. 2 weeks ago, or probably 3 now, we had the shooting at a Catholic school up in Minnesota. Then we had Charlie Kirk getting assassinated. Somebody was shooting up one of the ABC affiliates because of outrage over Jimmy Kimmel getting fired or put on pause. And now this. And if there's not an appropriate response by our government to take care of this issue, I'm very concerned that some sort of kinetic civil war is unavoidable. And it's not something I was going to say obviously, but maybe it's not obvious. This is not something that we should want, something that we should be happy about. But at what point do we stop accepting getting murdered, shot at, and at the very least defend ourselves, But again, it's really incumbent upon the Department of Justice and every organization in the government to do their due diligence, do their jobs, and stop this. They need to go after whoever's funding this, and I say whoever, but we all know who the big names are. George Soros and all his son and all them crazies. Who's planning this and who's executing on the mission plans, whatever they have going on over there. And I don't want to sound like I'm blaming all Democrats for this. It's Kurt, I've met plenty of Democrats who don't think that this is acceptable, who are decent people. But clearly there's a large enough group of them who are acting on the Democratic leadership's rhetoric of calling us Nazis, calling us fascists, and just not caring what results from that language. But the fact that there hasn't been action up to this point, it's been, I think, 2 weeks now since Charlie Kirk has been assassinated. Last week, Donald Trump made this whole ordeal about, Antifa has been designated a domestic terror organization. What has come of it? And I understand that it can take time to investigate people and take action towards that. But to think that they're starting from scratch is ridiculous. These people are always online talking about, next week, there's going to be something. Charlie, I think a couple weeks or a week before Charlie Kirk got killed, they were talking about this month there's gonna be something exciting happening. So they aren't starting from scratch. They should have some lead to follow up on. And what Pam Bondi decided to go on about is talking about hate speech. That was her planting her flag about what the government's response should be, when it is clearly not the case. But why she wasn't fired after the Epstein ordeal with those goofy binders is beyond me. And Tulsi Gabbard had her whole big press conference, multiple, about the whole Russiagate thing and what has come of it. Supposedly, James Comey, the former director of the FBI, is getting indicted on something this week, next week, or something. It's coming soon, they say. But our tolerance for inaction has to stop. We have got to hold our leaders accountable. Pam Bondi needs to be fired. And I'm just going to say it. I don't want another woman taking that spot. I'm sure there is some woman in America that can be ruthless in upholding the law and getting the job done. But see, I told you, the dog is being crazy. But we should not have our women facing evil as our job as men, to confront evil and protect our women. Somebody, heck, put Tom Homan up there, man. I know the deportations are his thing, but he is ruthless in getting the job done. Put him in there. Or I don't know, Matt Gaetz generally annoys me, but I think he'd definitely be a better attorney general than Pam Bondi has been. We got built, all those memes on freaking X of Bill Barr in a blonde wig. That's basically what we got. And we need someone who is working in their office and not at a set on Fox News. This is getting ridiculous. It's getting ridiculous. Speaking of government screw-ups, also yesterday Donald Trump gave a speech at the UN, and I'm sure you've seen, he got there, he tried to go up the escalator, and the escalator quit as soon as he stepped onto it. Then he gets to the UN General Assembly to give his speech. His teleprompter quits on him. And apparently the speakers didn't work either. I saw he posted on Truth Social or whatever that after he got off the stage, Melania said no one in the auditorium could hear him. So obviously someone was trying to shut him up, whether it's they consider it trolling him or whatever. It's ridiculous that we fund the UN. They're on our soil, and they are so ineffective at their mission of bringing world peace or whatever they think they're doing up there in New York. And they can't even make sure that our president is able to give a speech. And it wasn't just President Trump there were other world leaders there too. I'm sure you saw President Macron of France. He's trying to get past police security in New York to get there, but there are other world leaders there too. And I just heard, mumbles from the stage 50, 100 feet in front of them. I don't know. But the biggest thing with that, with the whole ordeal at the UN, is that it was a security issue. A couple weeks ago, a bunch of protesters confronted Donald Trump at a restaurant. They were within 10 feet of him. So that's one security violation. And another now at the UN, he's a sitting duck on the escalator. And, you could say the teleprompter and the speakers is more of a troll. And I'm sure that's all they think they're doing, but this is signaling the wrong message to the other side, that they can disrupt our president and his schedule to the point where he's a sitting duck on an escalator where anything could happen. As inefficient or whatever that the UN is, I don't see that as a secure building. So, yeah. We've got to get our head out of our ass as a country, as a government, and learn how to be effective again. Speaking of heads being in asses, Kamala Harris has a book out about her, traumatic experience of the past election. And she apparently, I haven't read her book, but apparently in her book, she supposedly wrote that she did not pick our good old transportation secretary, or ex-transportation secretary, Pete Buttigieg, to be vice president because he's gay. Now, the context around that is most likely meaning, America can't handle a gay vice president. How could they ever? I can't choose him. America's just too homophobic. But, they're kind of showing their own colors. Because if they really believe they're bullcrap, they wouldn't let anyone get them down or whatever. They just trudge ahead with it. But anyway, she was on doing some interviews about her book. I think I saw one on The View that I can't stand watching that show. Anytime I see clips, I just want to jump off a damn roof. But she was on The View, and then I think also Rachel Maddow, however you say her name. And they were asking her about that particular part, about why she didn't choose Pete Buttigieg. And she was like, oh, well, that's not what I said. That's not what I said, but also, you know, that is kind of what I said, but not for the reason you're implying. And it's just her usual brain farts. I don't know what to say. People always call them word salad. But, you know, during the election, hearing her talk made me, like I said a minute ago, made me want to jump off a damn roof. It made me want to go play in traffic, go walk into a busy highway. And now that I know that she is not going to be president, well, I guess there is potential for 2028. You know, she's going to try to run again. But now that there's no immediate threat of her being in charge, now you can just sit there and laugh at it. And it is. And part of me missed having some comic relief of her just yapping and not even know what's coming out of her mouth. If you haven't seen those clips, I'd encourage you to go look at them. They're pretty funny. And now I think Pete himself is lashing out at her, and she also mentioned something about Pennsylvania's Governor Josh Shapiro not being her vice president, and he's coming back at her. And yeah, it's a mess, dude. It's a mess. But it's a glorious mess on their part. But let's see. Those are the topics that I had picked out for this first one. I don't know how often I'm going to do these. At least once a week. So at the very least, I'll see you next week. But I mentioned that this is the first-ish video. You know, the first one was the first official one, I suppose, was last November. Just me rambling in my backyard in El Paso. But it's no coincidence that I'm actually doing something with it now. You know, not to be cliche or anything, but after Charlie Kirk was killed, really, I felt this need to not ignore what I feel like I should be doing. You know, I have a day job. I'm doing this after I worked today, and I have felt like I need to be pursuing something in this vein for the past year, since before that first episode. And you know, I was scared of putting myself out there, and I really shouldn't have been. Part of me still is, but anyway, you just got to push through it, you know. And I don't want to take what I have for granted. You know, it's so messed up what happened to him. I didn't watch him every day. You know, about once a week or so, I caught one of his videos. I always thought he had an interesting perspective. But anyway. Yeah, just gotta, it's not gonna be perfect starting out, but we just gotta start. And I'll see you next week. Now I'm gonna end gonna end these with a closing prayer. So if you believe, please join with me. If you don't, think good things, and I encourage you to go to church or something. Go to church, find a group of people who are believers who can help show you the way. And don't be scared just because you feel like you don't know what people will be talking about or anything, or if they think they'll judge you because you don't know your Bible from front to back, or you haven't been a believer for so long, or if you feel like you've done bad things. Don't be scared to just go to church. We've all done bad things, one way or another. We've all done something we aren't proud of, especially me, man. And I'm not I don't have the most biblical knowledge by any means, but just go. And if you've been going, then step it up and find a way to serve there. If you're a man who has some sort of situational awareness, especially if you have a security background, I'd encourage you to seek out helping out with security at church. That's what I've been doing the past couple weekends, especially with what's been going on in the world. We got to make sure we protect our people. Anyway, I'll shut up and finish this off. Lord, please be with the families of those people who were hurt, injured, or killed today at the ICE shooting in Dallas. Please heal our country. We aren't going to get out of this mess without you. Just please come into the hearts of Americans and help show us the way that we can make an impact in solving this issue. And please let us be steadfast in doing what needs to be done to solve our issues. And if anyone is on the other end of this stream who's going through something hard in their life or anything, please help them in whatever way is necessary. And ultimately, above all, Lord, please let your will be fulfilled. Life isn't always pretty, but there's a method to the madness, I believe, and help us have some peace and comfort. And purpose in going through these trials as a nation. Amen. All right. Thank y'all for joining me. I don't have any, this is the first episode. I don't have sponsors or anything, but if you'd want to help, I'll link my Etsy page down below. I do some woodworking stuff whenever I have time. If you decide to get something, it'd be greatly appreciated to help out. Anyway, I love y'all. I appreciate you. Have a great week. See you.